Welcome to an episode of Founder in the Chair. My guest today is an award-winning sales consultant, keynote speaker and author, helping online coaches and creatives sell with confidence and without the sleaze. With over 3 decades in sales, she has led teams at The Mirror, FHM and Heat magazine, and ran high-performing private client sales at Harrods. Now she helps impact-driven founders refine their sales approach and messaging so they attract and convert more of the right clients with more heart and less hustle. She went all in on her business just before turning 50, transforming years of sales expertise into a mission to show that selling can be ethical, empowering, and essential for business success. Her approach is more heart and less hustle, which is also the name of her book, which she also released this year. She's been named Businesswoman of the Year in 2024, and Suman was appointed Chief Commercial Officer at Atomic earlier this year, where she continues to champion small businesses' success at scale. She also dedicates time to volunteer with SmartWorks, coaching women to build confidence, secure employment and grow their business. So I'm super excited to welcome Suman Randhawa. Welcome, Suman.
Hi, lovely to see you.
What a journey.
I know, right?
You've done loads.
I felt like you were talking about someone else. I was like, oh, she sounds interesting. Yeah,
and it's you.
It is me. It's all me.
And you started just before 50.
Well, the business journey started literally just before 50. So, but I had a vision that by the time I was 50, I would be working for myself. And I left, so my birthday's in the January. I left Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, okay.
Yeah, I worked for a retailer. We had to work those kind of hours. So I left Christmas Eve and that was it. So it meant that by the time I was 50, I was working for myself. Yeah.
Wow. So how's it? So you are now?
I'm now 53.
Same as me?
Yeah, we're twins, birthday twins, yeah.
So 3 years into the journey.
Yeah, wow.
Does it feel longer?
It does.
Do you feel like you've been doing it forever?
Yeah, I think, like more has happened in life in the last 3.5 years than had properly happened in the 20 years before that. But in a really, I think so many people talk about midlife being this we talk about all the challenges that come with midlife, particularly as women, we talk about menopause.
Yeah.
But actually, I think it's the unleashing of a creativity, the unleashing of this. It's also the age where you might start to see loved ones die. I saw my dad die a couple of years earlier. And I think you start to realise you've got less time ahead of you than you had
behind you.
Yeah. And so for me, I was like, there's no plan B. There's no, let's see what happens. There's no playing it safe. I'm going all in on leaving a legacy, actually, for me, not for my kids, but for me. So for anyone who knew of me to know the impact that I had. Yeah, and it really drove me.
I love that because that's why some of the stories that the founders share, it's leaving a legacy. One day it might just inspire somebody when you're no longer here.
Yeah, to know that you did something that actually made a difference. I think that's that becomes more and more important, doesn't it, the older you get?
Yeah. Oh, God, absolutely. So you talk about this magnetic era, as you call it.
Yeah, I do.
Which came to you later in life, and you're a self-proclaimed late bloomer.
I am, yeah.
Do you wonder how life would have been if you had stepped into this time, say 20 years ago?
So 20 years ago, I would have been in my early 30s, which is actually, my 30s was quite a tough time. I entered my 30s, infertility and divorce. So it's a really tough time to enter a decade. So it was, my 30s was a very, very difficult time for me. No, because I'm a believer that everybody's journey is as it's meant to be. So I wasn't this person then. I think I probably really stepped into adulthood and independence probably in my 30s.
Okay.
Really, that's when I had to learn who am I and who do I get to be if all of the little tick boxes don't get ticked.
Yeah.
Because, you kind of grow up, particularly depending on your upbringing, but being of the generation that I'm from, you grow up with this expectation of what life is going to look like. So I think for me, when there were some things that were not going to plan, I was like, okay, well, who am I when all of these labels.
Labels.
The labels. Who am I when the labels are stripped away? And therefore, I would not have had the capacity to be the person I am today. I'm grateful to her, because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have been on the journey that I've been on. But this journey wasn't meant for me in my 20s or my 30s. It was meant for now. Yeah, I believe that strongly.
I totally agree with you. The things I'm doing now in my 50s, there's no way that Vina in her 30s or 40s didn't even have the mental capacity for it. I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah.
I hadn't had the life experience.
And I think, if I'm really honest as well, the stuff that happened in my 30s made me a half glass empty kind of person. Like, I will put my hands up and say that, poor me, why me? So it took a big shift and a big change for me to realise that you can't keep waiting for someone to come and rescue you, or for someone to give you the promotion, or for someone to give you the job that you wanted. You've got to go and get it yourself. So until I was able to make that shift, interestingly enough, no change happened. The minute I made that shift, my life 360'd.
And was that in your 50s then? Or?
Yeah, no, so it was probably, I think the journey was starting in my 40s, but I didn't realise. I just knew, I think by the time I was about 45, I knew I was not happy in the role I was doing. I felt a sense of dissatisfaction. I felt stuck. They talk about the glass ceiling. I was just like hitting it left, right and centre. I couldn't get out of the level I was at, the position I was in. And then I think it was Dad getting sick. My dad getting sick really puts a lot of stuff into perspective, because actually, yes, it's heartbreaking when you lose somebody that you love so much, but it is about perspective, because I also got 75 years. Some people don't get that. Some people don't get to that age. And he had such an impact, and he's so loved, and he's so much a part of our daily conversation. Even my nephews, who were babies then, and they're now 13 and 10, we still speak about him every day, and yet he left us 6 years ago.
Wow.
So that's the impact I wanted to have in life. Yeah.
He's definitely left a legacy then as well.
He has, yeah.
What advice were you given when setting up your business that you ignored? And then what happened?
That I ignored was, there's one that really, really sits with me. And I have to say, I'm a person who takes responsibility. It's not always about the message that's given to you. It's also about how you receive it.
Yeah.
So this isn't just about, what was said to me.
Yeah.
This is about how I received it. And I think it was specifically the sentence. I mean, maybe it was never even said, but I remember it as stay in your lane. And I didn't like it. Didn't like to be told to stay in the lane. So I think that was a piece of advice very early on that I interpreted in a negative way. I'm not saying it was meant in a negative way. And I thought, no, I'm not going to be told which lane to stay in.
Yeah.
There is sense in what was said, and I get the logic behind it. But I think that was the first thing, is don't feel like you have to conform. I think the second thing was don't do it. Most people were supportive, but a couple were like, good luck with that, kind of eyes raised. Look, someone wants to be a blogger. Social media is dangerous. It's bad for your mental health. That was another piece of advice. Yeah, wow, if it wasn't for all of those things that I did, I would not have had the trajectory of growth and the opportunities that I've had. So, I'd say they're the bits of advice that I ignored.
Wow. So you ignored stay in your lane.
Yeah.
And it's quite common to hear that, isn't it?
It is. That's why I put context behind it.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not always about the words. It's about how we receive it.
Yeah.
And it triggered some childhood trauma somewhere, because I was like, oh, don't tell me what to do.
I think we're of that generation, because we were told so much what to do, and we're like, no, I'm going to do what I want.
I think that's exactly what it is, Vina. Yeah, exactly.
So you said about social media. So you're very active on social media.
Yeah.
I watch you, and obviously so am I.
Yeah.
And I get so many people say to me, well, how do you do it at your age? And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, I don't get that. But I do actually, I love social media.
Yeah.
But I think what's really nice is how you start doesn't have to be how you continue. So in the beginning, I was committed to those 5 days a week, that networking, But actually now it's 2 to 3 days a week because so many other people speak about me. I get to repost their content, or they they're amplifying my work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love social media. I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I just think people get so hooked on it and they're not seeing it for what it is.
Yeah.
People are only going to show you what they want to show you. Like, don't get so
100%,
upset
right?
about that
Yeah.
person's doing this. Oh my God, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
But you're only seeing little snippets of their life.
Yeah, we choose what we share.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it can take a lot of time. I agree. And I sometimes am that person that's like 4 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, how am I still editing this
you're in that
reel?
little rabbit hole.
Oh God, yeah. But I'm fortunate. I genuinely enjoy the creativity. I love speaking. I like speaking. I like writing. I like sharing.
Yeah.
The difference is that with time, now I'm not like, oh, that one post didn't do well.
Yeah.
Because my footprint is in lots of places.
Yeah.
I email. I'm on other platforms. I might speak. I might get the opportunity to do something like this. So I think the important thing there is that as time goes on, it doesn't have to be the same level of
Absolutely.
commitment. I genuinely enjoy it though. Yeah.
I just think you've got to be consistent.
Yes, whatever your consistent is, you have to be that consistent. I agree.
Yeah, and you are consistent. I see you. You pop up.
Thank you.
All the time. So why now? Why did you take such a huge change in your life when you did?
I suppose I've touched on it slightly because, a lot of my experience has been sales. That's what I've done my entire life. And actually, without sales, we can't have a business, right?
Yeah.
Sales allows us to make money, which allows us to invest back. It allows me to do my volunteering. It allows me to do, to give advice for free and do talks. Like, it means that everything I do does not have to, have a monetary value against it.
Yeah.
So I knew the importance of the skill I had. And I think I didn't ever think I was going to set up a business, but I did know that I was not happy.
Yeah.
And so the journey went from, I'm not happy, what am I going to do? I started working with a life coach. And I remember he said to me, you would be amazing at running a business. I thought, I must say that to everybody. That's kind of what they say. And we're still in contact all these years later. But I think it planted something in my head. And then I can kind of remember this moment. So I did a digital marketing diploma probably when I was about 47, so about 7 years ago. Then the following year, Dad got sick. And I think it was just life was transitioning and you start to look at what really matters. And I remember being in the hospital. And I remember feeling that pressure of needing to get back to work because, there's only a certain amount of time I was allowed to have off. And I remember thinking, what really matters here? And I realized that I had a skill that could help people who actually made a difference in the world. It sounds like a great byline, right? But I think for any successful business, you've got to have some heart behind it. There's got to be some passion behind it because it's not easy. It's not linear. It's not straightforward. I have worked very hard. I've always worked hard. That's just kind of like in my DNA. But hard work isn't a guarantee for success. So I think if you can also love it and if you can work on believing in it, and there were all the things I was doing in my life, roads just led there. And before I knew it, there was nothing else I wanted to do. And I had a plan and I gave myself 10 months. Bearing in mind, I'd been in corporate for 28 years. And I was like, right, within 10 months, I am going to be handing in my notice and I'm going to be getting out of here. And I remember when I left, there was a real shock and surprise to my boss. And I remember him saying to me, but you've been on fire. You've been amazing this year. And I thought, yeah, because I had a fire in my belly and I knew. I suddenly had a purpose and I knew what my mission was. So, yeah, that's why then, because life just was taking me in that path.
So you started sort of planting the seeds and working on your business while you were still working.
I did, yeah. So
and that keeps you safe as well, a little bit as well, isn't it?
It does, but it was difficult because it wasn't something we were permitted to do.
Yes.
So, but the way that the workaround was, you don't have to necessarily charge for it, but you need to know that there is something viable that people want. So it was literally, turning up in groups, doing free masterclasses, informally helping people, speaking to someone. So it was like all the paths were leading there. And then I just probably had a naivety, which I'm so grateful for, because there was nothing that was going to get in my way. And I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I really, really thought
you were on a mission.
I was on a mission, and I thought it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
I had money saved up. So I can't explain it, Vina. There was no other option. And it did feel a bit like, I could see my mum's like, I'm not too sure about this. I could see my loved ones not being so, you sure about this? You've got a mortgage, you've got responsibilities, but there was no stopping me.
And again, it's a South Asian thing. Don't take risks. You've got a job. You get a paycheck at the end of the month.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? You're being silly.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I say it was the gift of growth through grief. I feel like this era of my life was gifted to me by my dad in my dad's passing. But the truth of the matter is, he also always wanted us to be safe, and he wanted that safety for us. I don't know that I would have done any of this had all of that not happened. But I think you start thinking, I've played it safe, and Dad, you played it safe, and still life takes you when life's going to take you. So
that's the one guarantee we have, is we're going
that
one
we're all
day.
going. Yeah. So I just thought, I'm going for it.
It's really interesting you say that, because I don't know if you've heard the story about when I changed.
No, I don't know it, actually.
So it was when my friend, she had breast cancer, and I did her dying videos, which was just over 2 years ago. And that was my defining moment. Like, literally after that, I was like, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And that's when I started planning for retirement as well. Like, I started doing a countdown, because she was the same age as me as well. She was the same age as us.
I feel like I do remember this story.
Yeah, and it's because of that. She gave me a gift, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
She gave me a gift of knowing that, just like that, life's over. Our kids were the same age as well. So when I was making her videos,
to you.
Same situation, same age as me, and she was gone. And whilst at the time I was upset, like I'm sure you were after your dad, and you're upset for a little while, and then you think, oh my God, she just gave me this amazing gift, and I'm now able to learn from that and just do what I want to do.
And it's like you're carrying a piece of that person with you every single day on the step of your journey.
Exactly, because I always remember the things she said to me, and the wisdom that someone has on their last moments, and they share that with you. The conversations we had, which they're just for me, but she passed on so much information to me that I now still use in everyday life. And so you're right. What did you say? The gift of grief?
I call it growth through grief. Grief. Yeah, which is not that easy to say. But it is. I feel like it is the gift that is given during grief by that person who's passed. Yeah, I do.
So interesting. So you've written a book.
I have. Who thought I could ever say those words? But
I know.
Yeah. Oh my God, Fina, that's hard work. Have you written a book?
Not yet.
Would you like to?
Yes.
Oh my God, it is a lot of work.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was a nice to have.
Yeah.
Didn't really think about it. I just thought, that'd be nice. I'll write a book.
Yeah.
And actually, I had a client who is a book coach. I was going to say she still is. She's a book coach, and she was my client. And I helped her design her very first group program and launch it. And I although I teach people to make money from sales, I am also the easiest person to sell to. I literally love buying. And I was like, that sounds really good. So I ended up signing up for her program after she'd finished working with me.
Yeah.
I then went on to work with her. And it was like this 6-week program, and you just write your first chapter. The other people on the program were like, they were like going to publishers. They had an idea. I was like, I've just arrived. I've got no idea. I just thought it'd be nice to write a book.
Yeah.
It took me 18 months. I took 3 months off in the middle,
Yeah.
where I was just like, I just literally can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of focus and discipline. But I think the most interesting thing about writing a book is in those 3 months I took off. So I'd done from like October to about April.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I need a bit of a break, because I was focusing on a really big talk that I had, and back then I just couldn't multi-purpose. A year on, I'm like, spinning all the plates, but I was like, I can't multi-purpose. I'll do one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And she was like, right, but I'm going to be back for you in like July. And I thought, hopefully she'll forget.
Yeah.
July, she comes back for me. She was like, right, Suman, you ready to go? And I looked at her and I was like, you know what? I'm not the person that I was when I started the book. She was like, I knew you were going to say that. So I almost started all over again. And I realised that I had evolved.
Yeah.
I had evolved as a coach, as a person, as a mentor, as a consultant. So I kind of went back to the book and kind of started rewriting it. And then, again, a little theme here, when I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
And then literally from October, I was just, every morning I was committed to, from July, committed to writing.
Yeah.
And I remember she said to me, well, we do 7 a.m. writing sprints. You're welcome to join. I was like, oh, I don't wake up at 7 o'clock. I haven't got any kids. I don't need to wake up at that time.
Yeah.
Because, that's the time the sprints are. All I can say is I now wake up at 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning, and I was there at that desk every morning writing. And I was so proud of the book by the time that I finished it, because I actually invested quite heavily in it. I invested in coaching. I had somebody, it wasn't just something that I did on my computer and then uploaded it to Amazon. I worked with her for self-publishing, and I was so incredibly proud. And classic Suman did not bring the book with her. However, it's not even about, it's funny because some people say to me, well, how's the book doing? Is the book selling well? If you know anything about books, it's not really the purpose of a book. Not if it's self-published. Obviously, if it's published, it's different. It's about your footprint. It really helps me as a speaker, but also it's my gift. It's my gift to people who don't want to invest lots of money, because it's almost like a blueprint, no matter where you are in your business. And I've also just realised I should have brought you like a copy of the book. So can I just say,
you can post it to me, or we'll meet again.
We will meet again, and I will post it to you. But yeah, it's something I'm so proud of. And what was interesting is I've got 2 nephews that I've mentioned earlier before. And they were so invested in the process. I guess they never knew anyone who wrote a book, right? They would ask me all the time, how's it going? When is it coming out?
Okay, that keeps you going.
Yeah, and it was really lovely. And actually, my mum rarely asks me about business. But I guess, again, the book was something she could get. So she would also ask me about the book. So, it was my proudest moment to finish it, get it out, sell copies, and just have something that I felt so proud of. So yeah, that was the book writing experience. It took a long time.
And if someone's listening, where can they buy it?
They can buy it on Amazon. It's called More Heart, Less Hustle. Thank you for sharing. You can get it on Amazon, and if for whatever reason you're not using Amazon, just search online and it comes up on some other online stores.
And when you held that book for the first time, and I know you said it was really proud, did you cry?
I didn't cry, but I was really, really happy. I was really happy. For this actually is going to make me cry. It's really interesting because I did a private book launch event, and I didn't do it just to celebrate my book.
Yeah.
I did it because I realised that I hadn't done anything to celebrate me and all I had achieved over the last few years. And for me, and I said this to a few people, bar my nephews being born, I'd say it's one of the happiest days of my life. I felt so proud of myself and all I had achieved, and that I was there in that moment. And I was like, here's little old Suman, and she's here. She's got a room full of incredible people, and people buying her books. Like, how is this even happening to me? So yeah, whilst I didn't cry, I felt huge joy and pride. Yeah.
That's
actually, do you know what I remembered?
saw that on socials. It looked amazing.
And do you know what I remembered, Vina, actually?
Yeah.
There was a bit that, so I dedicated the start of the book, I dedicated to my dad, and the very last person I mention at the very end of my acknowledgements is my mum. And when I explained that to my mum, I could hear she got choked, so that choked me. But yeah, that was, it was so lovely to know that I was able to mention my special people in the book, yeah.
I love that. So what advice would you give to somebody who's listening right now and who do want to write a book? What would you say?
So the way that I work is I say you ought, get expert help. Like for me, that was really important because I didn't know how you pulled together a book. Just because I'm a good writer or just because I enjoy writing, it doesn't mean I know how to write a book. So I think it depends. If you don't have time, then go and work with a book coach, go and do a program. But probably the more practical advice I would give that doesn't involve investing, let's say you've got your way that you're going to do things, is commit to the process. 18
the 7 a.m.
Yeah, the 7 a.m. writing sprints.
Yeah.
Don't cut corners. If you want a book that you're going to be proud of, put some budget aside for typesetting, for somebody to look, to do your copywriting, to someone to do a structural edit. But I think the most important thing is if you're committed to writing a book, the longer you take writing it, the more you're probably going to change during the course of that book. So just consider that. So it's either going to be an 18-month or 2-year project, but you need to commit to that. The freedom I felt when it was over, it's like training for the marathon. That's it. Not that I've ever trained for the marathon, but it literally felt like when it was over, I was like, oh, I've got time back. I've got my 7 a.m.s back. So I say, commit to the process and decide how long you want it to take. Because again, particularly if you have family, you have job, you have commitments, you're going to need to work out where you are going to do this. And it starts very exciting. It's very exciting in the end. Then you get to the middle and you're like, oh my God, is this ever going to end?
Yeah.
And then when you get to the end, it's so worth it. So that would be the advice that I would give is if you can, invest in getting some support.
And are you going to write another one?
No. No intention. Absolutely no intention at the moment. But ask me again in 6 months.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. That was the first question. I think it must be like having a baby, right?
Yeah,
it's like
you can have
asking
another one.
But if somebody asks you as soon as you've just had one, I'm imagining the answer is no.
No, yeah.
It's definitely not in the plans for now. Yeah, I just like getting my 7 a.m.s back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to work with you, what sort of programs do you have and how do they work with you?
So what's really nice that has changed for me is that I'm now in a place where I just work very select with clients one-to-one. So I now have a full-time commitment working with an incredible company who are sales and marketing specialists called Atomic. They're probably really well known for a massive, they do the biggest small business sales and marketing conference in Europe. So I think last year we had just under 1,500 people there.
Wow.
So it's a massive, exciting project that I call it a project because it doesn't feel like a job. It feels like this incredible plan that I'm in. So what that does mean is I still work on my own personal brand and I still work with clients one-to-one, but the nice thing is it's select. So I work with select clients one-to-one. It's on a consulting basis. I don't like to commit to too long-term. So I think it's really nice to get to a space where I'm like, right, when I work with clients, it's for a shorter amount of time. We focus on one particular area, which is generally tends to be around sales messaging, and we focus all in on that until they're completely comfortable to go off and do it themselves. And it's quite nice to be there because, there's a lot of my time, it was about group programs. It was about having to work in a more structured way. And actually now, I would say I've got multiple revenue streams because I do my speaking, I obviously work for Atomic, I get to consult with organisations, and then I get to work with clients one-to-one. So for me, it's like, I think I like the flexibility and the freedom. And it means when I do work with someone, I'm able to totally commit.
I love that. So sales can be quite a taboo word.
It can, dirty word.
Yes. I mean, I've been in sales in retail banking for 20 years.
Is that what you did before?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was, and the training you get in a bank to sell products that involve money.
Yeah, of course.
It's hardcore.
Yeah.
So everyone would be like, oh my God, you're in sales.
Yeah,
and
totally
straight
been there.
away, they look at you as if you're dirty, the dirty word. You're talking about sales.
Yeah.
But what they don't realise is if your child is like saying to you, oh, can I have this and can we do it like this because then I'll do this.
Venus,
well, they're selling to you.
Completely. And I actually use those examples. I often use the example of, if you're trying to get your child downstairs in the morning.
Yeah.
I remember seeing this with a friend. She was trying to get her child to come downstairs. And at that time, her child was, probably 5 or 6. And the little girl said to my friend, I'll meet you halfway. And I thought, well, this is a negotiation. This is literally a negotiation. So you're absolutely right. It's every day.
It's every day, but people just get so scared of sales. Oh, I don't want to look like I'm too salesy. I don't want to look pushy.
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
So when clients say that to you, how do you deal with that?
I have to say, by the time they work with me, they have gone past that point.
Okay.
I think, I hear it a lot. And it's almost a little disappointing that people still feel like that. And it's really interesting. It's one of the reasons I wrote the book, because I wanted people to understand, where does this come from? Like, why do we have this perception? And sometimes, so it's a simple shift. one of the things I invite people to do is to swap the word sales for invitation. This is more for service-led businesses, but instead of thinking the purpose of this call is to see if I can get a sale at the end, it's an invitation to see if we can work together, to see if this is a match. It's like a matchmaking service. So I think one of the things that I like to do is I like to shift people's relationship with sales and say, what if you thought you were worthy enough of working with someone who is willing to pay you the money that you deserve for the transformation that you're offering? And what if you don't look at every single person as a pound sign? Instead, you're thinking, actually, is this a good match? Can I help them? Because if I'm not the best person, then I'd much rather put somebody in touch with someone who's going to get the right results than necessarily be thinking, how am I going to get this client? So the first thing that I say to people is, I'll give you all the advice and the tips, but the fact that where you've got to start is you've got to shift your relationship with how you perceive what sales is.
Yeah, totally. So you use the word invitation when it's service-based.
Yeah.
What about if they're product-based?
I think even with a product base, it depends. If it's interesting that I do service because I have actually worked with product-based businesses and actually in my corporate career. But I think even when it is a product, there is usually a service at the end of it. It allows you to do something. If we think about like your salon, it's, I knew of your salon for even before you and I have ever even spoken, because it had a reputation for allowing you to get the transformation and for you to be able to trust in the service you're going to get. Just a shame it was so far away from where I lived. So maybe I need to move, right?
Yeah.
But it's just, I think even with a product base, what does it allow somebody to do? This isn't my term, but someone said this to me recently and I thought, it's such a good example. Are you selling the hammer or the hole? And what I mean by that is, what is the result of what you are selling them? Yeah, what's the, it's like a pen. Am I selling them a pen that looks this colour, that looks like this? Or am I selling them, let's think about Pilot pens, right? I love a Pilot pen. Don't know if you know them.
Yeah,
they rub out. Do you like them? Right?
Yeah.
So instead of me saying, buy a Pilot pen, it's plastic, it's got a lid, you can even, clip it on your lapel. What I'd probably say to you is, these are brilliant. They're really easy to write with. They allow you to rub out, when you're doing your sums and your figures without messing up your sheets. Now, that's much more of a transformation. You're probably going to say, I want to buy a pack of 12. I sound really salesy now, don't I?
I know.
Yeah,
it's like the features, the advantages, the benefit.
Well, exactly. And I think that's hilarious, isn't it? But it's just remembering what is the end result of what you are selling them, because they're not buying the product itself. Yeah, that's really taken me back. Feature, advantage, benefit. Yeah, exactly. See, we had the same training. Yeah.
So, and I think that's where people get so hung up on, I want to sell this candle, for example, but what's that? What's the feelings that candle's going to have on them when they light it at home?
Yeah, is it non-toxic?
Yes.
Are you going to feel safe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it. I hear you, but yeah, it is a dirty word. And I'm so glad you're changing people's mindset on that.
I'm trying, because even myself, for years, I didn't say that I worked in sales. Like, I would say sales and marketing. I'd say sales and marketing. And so
And you say sales really quickly.
As you say sales really quickly, yeah. Or I would say I worked in media, because I did. I worked in magazines. And then it would be like, well, what do you do? And then, sales. But actually, this has been part of my journey these past 3 years, if some for 3.5 years, 4 years. If you try, if you trawl all the way back through my content, probably didn't say the word sales for about the first year. And it was really the guidance and advice of, coaches that I work with. They were like, own it. There's not enough women out there. There's not enough women with a heart-led approach. And I think it was that shifted it for me. I was like, oh, like I didn't realise, because I'd worked with so many women in my industries. And that's when I thought, you know what? Yeah, I am going to own it. I don't have to be on a flip chart with, kind of like sweating profusely, teaching somebody about sales. I can actually have a softer, whilst direct approach.
And it's really interesting you say that, because even though I talked about retail banking sales, we didn't just sell something to them without finding out what they need.
Yeah, that's where it starts.
Yeah, the fact find.
Absolutely.
Because then you're selling to their need. It's
Of
not,
course,
you're not shoving something down someone's
This is
throat.
exactly it. Yeah.
You've done enough information gathering rather than getting upset.
I love this.
That,
It's like my perfect time. Yeah.
yeah, rather than like, oh, yeah, buy my candle. Oh my God, she didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Oh God, she hates my candle or whatever.
Do you know what this reminds me of? When you get those ridiculous DMs of somebody you've never spoken to selling you something that you never told them that you needed. So I got one the other day, and I'm really sorry if somebody is watching this and they recognise that it is them.
Yeah.
They said, I'm launching this something and I thought of you. And I looked at it and it was like, reset when stressed. And I drafted the reply back, which was, I'm really curious to know, what was it that made you think that I needed this? And in the end, I thought, forget it. I'm not even going to reply to this person. But I just thought, how bizarre.
Yeah.
I've been DM'd on LinkedIn with somebody who asked me if I wanted to do a weight loss boot camp. You can only imagine the reply they got. But I'm just like, where have I said that I wanted to do that?
I get that as well. As you're over 50 now,
Oh, that one.
Have you thought about this and or the stress thing as well, because they think I'm so busy and juggling so many plates.
Yeah,
but I don't need it. But yeah, that's rude.
Yeah, it's so rude. So rude. Yeah, like ask the question first, build a relationship. Yeah, that would be the best bit of advice. And actually on that, because someone asked me this question yesterday, they said to me, how do I move it from I'm giving them lots of advice, we have a great call, to them buying from me? And I was like, well, therein lies the answer. Like, the purpose of the call is not to give them the advice. It's what you just said, being a fact find. Find out if it's a match. People like to talk about themselves. So find out if it's a match before you can prescribe the solution.
Otherwise, you've given it all away, and then they don't need to sign
up.
up.
No wonder they didn't call you. Exactly.
They've got all the tools they needed, and off they go.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love that. So, Suman, how does somebody get in touch with you?
I would love for anyone who watched this and kind of found it informative, just connect with me on social media. Like, the best places to find me, I love to hang out on Instagram, as you know, Veena. And my handle is I am Suman Randhawa, so literally as my name. And you can also find me over on LinkedIn. You can look for me on TikTok, but I don't generally tell people that I'm there. TikTok is kind of where I do my own thing. But yeah, Instagram and LinkedIn, I would absolutely love to connect with people on there.
And programs with you, is that all on Instagram? How do they find out?
If there is anything that's come out from this and you're thinking, actually, I'm really curious around kind of like sales messaging and how can I make this? So kind of my magic is around creating messaging that attracts people to you, so you don't have to go out and do the selling. And that's kind of my signature one-to-one program that I do. And if anybody was interested, drop me a DM, we'll have a conversation, we'll see if it's a match.
Love that. And then we can buy your book on Amazon, isn't it?
You certainly can. Yeah.
Thanks,
Veena.
Thank you so much, Suman.